All right, guys, got 17 warm-up activities for you guys today. First one, going to be using some cones, just moving in a triangular type of shape from back to front, and then just catching with a contour or diamond type of catch. Coach is going to be volleying it into their hands for all these movements. You could go as many as you want. Here I'm going 3 reps to each side, roughly. And then part B of this exercise will be the same idea, but you're starting at the back, moving forward first, then backwards again. Big key here is to make sure they're staying on their toes as they move backwards and get set for that volley in the back, and that they're not leaning backwards, that they're leaning forward in this. Warm-up activity idea number 2. You're going to have 3 servers. You can rotate these guys as keepers. 1 keeper is working. Basically 2 people have a ball, 1 person's volleying it in, and the keeper is finding the open person to toss it to. You'll progress from this from volleys into their hands with a contour diamond catch, and then here you're now seeing a just shot into their body, somewhere into their midsection area. And then here in a second, you're going to see the low dive idea as well. So on the low dive, I have them getting a low dive to the outside or inside from the outside 2 people, and then the middle person is always going to hit a shot into their body instead. Exercise number 3, part A. So a little bit of plyometrics here. They're hopping over with 2 feet as high as they can get and then shuffling out to the side. First part of this, they are just getting a volley into their hands for that contour / diamond catch, and just working on some of those plyometrics and then shuffling out to the side here. Progression part of this is to shoot the ball from the ground, so everything else will remain the same. Popping over with 2 feet, high knees, and then shuffling out to the side really quick, getting a shot into their body on this. Next progression, same idea, but as soon as they land, they're getting a low dive. So I've told them I still want them getting up as high as they can on that jump, and then as soon as they're landing, getting set into that low position so that they can shoot out for a low dive. Just training them to get low really quickly and continue with their same proper technique in that low dive, that they're not chopping down on it, that they're actually pushing and sliding through. On this, you can actually progress this as well to a collapse dive or an extension save. I didn't do that in this session, but that would be the next progression of this as well if you really wanted to. Exercise number 4, working on some scanning, passing, and handling. So keeper is going to start, you can't really see, but there are multiple colored cones. There's 5 different colored cones. Coach calls out a color. They will move to that cone and then move backwards, and then they'll receive a 2-touch pass that they will hit to one side or the other. After that, they're scanning behind them. There's somebody behind them holding up certain colored cones. They have to shout that color out, and then they'll receive, right now, a volley from the opposite side that they passed it to. So just working on some of that scanning, that awareness as they're moving and receiving passes and shots. This teaches them to be aware of where their defenders are in a game, as well as their attackers, and knowing where their team is on crosses, on longer distributions, that kind of stuff, being aware of where passes are so that they can help their teammates so they can communicate properly. Next part of this progression, the only thing that changes is a shot from the ground into their body instead of a volley into their hands on that second part. So they're still getting that 2-touch pass, still shouting out the color behind them, and then they'll get a shot from the opposite side. Exercise number 5, working with a box. I love working with boxes. So this one, they're going to be working on just some sharp movements and some handling. So to start, they'll start at the back, or here I guess I'm starting at the back, and then they'll move to the front, get a volley, and then they'll move backwards again, get a volley. Next part of this progression, they're going to start on the side. They're opening up to the back here, and they'll get a volley into their hands. Again, would like to be
nice
quick,
and clean
sharp
here,
movements. They should be moving with that top foot first to open up their body, and then the back foot should follow.
So don't let it force you backwards.
Closer to you.
When you're
so right
catching
now,
that, make
on
sure you're
the
leaning
left
forward on
side,
those toes still.
the goalkeeper on the left side is moving with her back foot first. Next part of this progression, same idea, starting on the side. This time they are moving forward into that front space. Instead, again, just working on some different footwork, so some sharp movements. This time their front foot should still lead, and their front foot will move forward first, and then that back foot will follow here.
Good.
Making sure all those catches are clean and that they're moving their body in front of the ball if it does pop out to the side a little bit and it's not a perfect shot, because you're never really going to receive a perfect shot. Next one here, they're starting at the top, getting set at the back, and they're just getting a shot from the ground into their body. Big key here is to make sure that they're staying forward on their toes and they're not leaning backwards on their heels as they receive that shot. Next is going to be same idea, starting at the top, moving backwards. As soon as they hit that line, they're going to low dive out to the side. I do encourage you to make sure that they're not cheating. They should know which way it's going, but if they start to cheat that way, I usually try to hit it back the opposite way for them. Exercise number 6 here, working on some sharp movements laterally first, and then moving up towards the top of that pole. You can use cones for this as well. I just wanted to use poles to make sure that they are staying honest and really tight in their movements, and then just a volley into their hands on this first one. I did 2 rounds on each side here, and as you can see, just rotating one keeper after another. You can do this with, I would say, up to 4 keepers realistically, before having to create another grid. Next part of this progression, same idea, but they're moving forward first and then laterally. Right here I'm taking shots just into their body as soon as they get set in front of that pole across the way from where they're starting. You can also progress this and use the same exact movement, but have them go down into front smothers. I think that is a really good way to just work on some simple front smothering technique as well prior to a session, and making sure they're getting one leg around the ball correctly and getting down on the ball as well. Exercise 7, using some ladders here and some cones just to get some good footwork in on this. So she is starting at the back, moving laterally first with some footwork. I just have her going 2 feet in here, getting a volley at the back, and then moving to the top and hitting a 2-touch pass. Really, really simple. You can use this with rec kids, with like 7, 8-year-old goalkeepers. This is super simple drill. As you saw there, I rolled it because I wasn't prepared, but that's another way to just kind of modify it for some younger keepers as well. But you can use this for younger keepers. You can use this for keepers who are coming back from an injury. You can use this for high schoolers, for keepers who have played for a long time or never played before. Progression of this, Same idea. You can change up the footwork. I had her doing something I call step-ins here, and then receiving a shot from the ground into her body at the back. And then she's going to be doing icky shuffle coming through the next part of the ladder, the forward-facing part, and getting a one-touch pass up at the top. Next progression of this exercise is just doing 1 foot hop. I always have them hopping with their lead foot, so in that case her right foot, and then doing a different just movement at the top. I'm trying to remember what I even call this movement. But 1 foot will be in the ladder basically the whole time, and 1 foot will be outside of the ladder essentially the whole time. And then up at the top, she's getting a low dive to the outsides here. So still a shot into her body at the back, just because you don't want to mess up those ladders. And then just changing up that footwork, making sure it's facing forward on that front movement, and then low dive up at the top.
Feet. Yeah, sorry. Here, I pick that up. Good, like that.
Exercise number 8. A little bit of 1v1 prep here. If you've watched my channel before, you've seen this drill. Moving through that ladder with an icky shuffle right now. She'll go full speed until she gets close to that cone, and then it should be a small stutter step. As soon as she gets to that green cone, coach will be calling out red or blue. She'll shuffle to that side, and then she's getting a volley at the very beginning there. We'll progress into just a shot from the ground, and then lastly, what you're seeing here is a low dive to the outside. Changing up the footwork each time, so this is something I call a hopscotch series that she's doing right now. You can kind of progress it from alternating and then 1 foot, that kind of stuff. Exercise number 9, working on some blind shots into their body here. So starting behind that dummy, popping out to the side, and then just shot into their body. You can start this with a volley as well. I believe I just started it with a shot into their body this day. That keeper on the left, you see her front smothering it a lot. She's just doing really well at attacking the ball as it comes in. When she's not confident that she's going to be able to tuck that in, she's going to fall on it instead, just to make sure that she secures the ball every time. Here's a little bit of a closer view for you of just one keeper working at a time. Just popping out right in front of that green cone every time, and then working her way back and up around that dummy. Just changing the picture a little bit with that dummy in front of them, creating some problems at different points because you're going to have blind spots as keepers. Next part of this progression is just working on low dives. So I had them doing kind of cut back dives is what I call them. So popping out to the side and then going back the same direction they just shuffled from. So if she starts behind and pops out to your left, her right, then she'll come back across the face of that dummy, making sure they're staying low, that they're shooting forward and in front of that dummy helps with just making sure that they're pushing forward on their low dive and not diving laterally or backwards, because if they do, they're going to hit the dummy. If you have a way of doing this, even with somebody standing there and you're working with younger kids, this is a great idea, just because that physical obstacle makes them dive forward, because if they hit it once, they're going to adjust. So highly recommend even just using a second goalkeeper or someone in place of that dummy for younger kids if you're working with them. Exercise number 10, just working on some more 1v1 prep, specifically those stutter steps. So she did a really good job there of pushing forward, sprinting forward, and then stutter stepping right as she's getting to that yellow dot. And then she'll shuffle to the outside. First part of this, you can get just a shot into their body and then progress into these dives that you're seeing here. So low dive to one side and then low dive to the other side at the top. Next part of this progression, you can do a low dive to one side on that first rep, and then second one, low dive, and then second low dive goes either direction. So that first low dive on the second part of this will go to the outside, and then I told them that the second dive that they get could go either way, so they have to pay attention, kind of working on some of that double saves, getting up quickly, that kind of stuff. Exercise number 11 here, we're going to work on some high balls and handling. So starting with a high ball just somewhere thrown right around that dummy. So it might be really high, or some of these you might see will be a little bit more direct, more driven. and then she's popping out to the other side, getting a shot from the coach on the other side. So right here on this throw, you can see a little bit more of a driven ball just because of how she threw it, and then popping out for a front smother on that one. This one's a little bit more lobbed. So yeah, you can just vary up that throw. And then that shot, I've started to hit just a little bit more outside their frame sometimes. Kind of depends on the keeper. But yeah, just getting reps to both sides here. High ball from one side, shifting across in front of that dummy for a shot really quick on that other side. Good hold by that keeper on the collapse dive there. Okay, exercise number 12, working on sharp movements. This requires no equipment. So popping out from the post, just opening up. She's gonna get shot into her, or volley into her body. She'll roll the ball back, and then she's just gonna shot into her body after that. You can vary up the height on this. You can hit it low for them to have to front smother on. You can hit it right in their gut, right in their midsection, for them to just have to do a basket catch with, or you can kind of hit it high. Just vary it up there. Rotating keepers, I have 3 keepers here, so 2 are working on one side while I'm working with a keeper on the other side, and just mirroring, doing the same thing. Again, this requires nothing but a goal. You can even just use a cone or put a shoe down and have them open up if you wanted. Next progression of this, shot into their body from the ground, and they're getting a low dive to the outside here. Coach, notice they're hitting with 1 touch, so that requires the keeper to be mindful of how quickly they are rolling the ball back to the coach. And especially with younger kids, this is helpful because it helps them work on their roll without them even knowing. So they're rolling that ball out nice and smooth along the ground, no bumps, so that the coach can hit it 1 time. If the coach is not able to hit it well 1 time because the roll is poor, then the coach can educate that player, that younger kid, and tell him, hey, fix the roll and my shot will be better for you. Exercise 13. So I've got 4 cones in the middle. That's just for part of this progression. So they are working pretty wide laterally here. So they're getting a big shuffle across. They can even do a crossover step if they want, and then just a volley into their body on this, or a diamond or contour type catch. Next progression of this is just the same idea, getting a good crossover step or shuffle up to them, and then getting set right on the other side of those cones for just a shot into their body here. So I've got 2 groups working, and I've got 3 keepers on this day, and so 1 group is working on their own on the right side, and then I am working with a keeper on the left side just at the same time. They don't have to rotate on this because there's nothing different about either side. They're just getting the same amount of reps. So this is exercise 14. This is what I call diving ladders. So they are going to be entering the first space and then coming back to the outside. As soon as they get back to the outside, every single time they're getting a low dive. So they should get 4 total low dives. Right now they're going to their right on those dives and just jumping up really quick every single time they make that save. They're jumping up, getting reset, and then going again. This is a good little conditioning thing for goalkeepers, just with getting multiple dives at the same time and trying to make them maintain technique as well as footwork as they go through those cones. So trying to make it nice and clean without them hitting any cones and getting saves on every single rep here. You can even do a competition with this. If whoever makes the saves first and holds the most wins, make it fun. Exercise 15, handling and passing. So keeper starts with the ball. They are just hitting a volley into the keeper in the net. They're going to roll it back, and then they're going to pass it for a 2-touch pass out to the sides. You've got people on the outsides here as well. So yeah, just a little bit of a combo of getting some good handling in, as well as a couple of 2-touch passes in this. You can progress this as well. I don't have the progression here, but you can progress this by taking a shot into their body, making it a low dive, and then a roll back for a pass back. You can kind of make it progress as many times as you want. I only did it a couple times there because I wanted to move into other things. But those are just some ideas for the future for you. Exercise 16,
no, that's good. I thought she was
we
gonna say
have
somewhere
some
else.
just quick feet, working on some footwork, and starting with some volleys to hands. So the green cones, they're going to be moving in a forward motion with some type of footwork. I did step 2 feet in on this to start, and then progress to things like step-ins, icky shuffle, that kind of stuff. The pink cones, or salmon as we like to call them, they are moving laterally with some type of footwork. So right here she's doing some step-ins. In that middle section, they get a shot from the ground, and on the outsides they're getting a front smother here. In that first one, they're just getting a volley at each spot, middle and outside, so in total they should get 6 reps, and then they can switch. Next progression of this, again, different footwork. I let them choose their footwork on this one. Middle is still a shot into their body, and then the outsides is a low dive back to where it came from, so kind of a cut back dive, I like to call these. Last progression on this drill, again, just letting them choose what they want regarding footwork, as long as the greens are facing forward and the salmons are facing outside. And then progressing it, so those outsides are getting a low dive, still a cutback type of save. Middle, they're still getting a shot from the ground into their body. But on those outsides, after the low dive, they're getting a collapse dive going the other way, just tossed to them instead. Exercise 17, last one here for you guys. Just a little bit of a shuffle out to the sides and getting a volley into their hands to start. So they'll get one to each side, and then coach or other server are going to be tossing it up for a high ball for that keeper, or somewhere around the dummy. So you can change up that high ball. You can toss it more to where they are, right on top of the dummy, or you can do kind of a lofted or driven ball, just kind of varying it up based on what you're trying to get out of the session this day. Something really important is making sure they're jumping off of, getting that knee up when they're jumping, and then that their knee is protecting them that's closer to the dummy here. Next progression here, again, just working on some shuffles, getting a shot into their body now from the ground. Everything else remains the same though. This one, she decided to go ahead and kick the dummy as she was running. Don't recommend that if we're in a game, but you know, gotta have some fun in practices sometimes.
So now I don't say anything.
Yeah, I know you just deleted what you said.
Keeper here did a good job just adjusting into that collapse dive. Shot should have been in her body, but it was outside of her frame. So if you have more advanced keepers that you're working with, definitely make sure that they're making the proper save according to the shot, that they're not just locked into what the drill's supposed to be and letting a shot like that go. And last progression for this, same idea, just getting a low dive to the outsides here, shuffling across, setting, and then a low dive, and then finishing with a high ball. She'll reset. Usually I go about 2 to 4 reps total, and then switch on this. Alright guys, this has been 17 warm-up ideas for you with your goalkeepers. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, definitely feel free to ask some questions, leave some comments. Definitely give this video a like if you enjoyed any of these. Helps me out a lot, and hoping to just educate coaches as much as I can, spread the word about lots of different drill ideas. If you guys have any drill ideas as well, always happy to see those. But yeah, feel free to drop a like, subscribe, drop a comment as well. Thanks, you guys.